concept that every aspect that I'm interacting with is nothing but an expansion and extension of God. Let me tell you as my practical example. So when I'm sitting here and talking to you, there are many ways that this entire environment can be understood, the viewpoint can be different. So there was a very famous speaker, and he could speak virtually on any topic, and he was never scared. There were tens and thousands of people in his gathering, and he would, speak on any topic spontaneously. So somebody asked him in an interview, how do you manage yourself to talk such fearlessly? He says, very simple. When I go onto the stage, I assume that all those who are sitting are idiots who don't know anything, and whatever I speak, I'm fine with it. That can be one mindset. The other day I was talking to someone who said, what do you want to become? A teacher. Why? Because it gives me an opportunity to change their lives. That's another perspective. But 20 years experience, I can tell you for sure, you can't change anybody in life. You can take a horse to the pond, you can bring the pond to the horse. But the horse will drink when it feels thirst. You cannot change anybody. So that is where Gurudev trained us very beautifully right in the beginning. He said, do not go out into the world thinking that you are going to change the world or help the world or uplift the world. But use it as a platform that there are these various formats of Narayana who are giving you an opportunity to speak, so that you can address your own mind. If it benefits you first, it may benefit the rest of them if they are ready. See, the perspective totally changes. In spite of me asking questions and you not delivering the answers, I still don't get frustrated. I'm serious. See, you ask your children the same question day in and day out. At what point of time do you expect them to know the answers? You're asking the same question. Sooner or later you want them to know the answer. What if they don't know the answer, even the nth time of your effort? You've been telling them since childhood certain things, and you don't see it reflect in their actions, in their behavior, in their thinking, and they do contrary to what you have been teaching. What happens? You become Bhadrakali. You become Durvasa. And shout your anger out, frustration out. Does it happen or not? I don't have that anticipation. Because my mindset is prepared that this opportunity is given to me, these different formats of Narayana, so that I can talk to my own mind. Another opportunity. So whenever we go out into the world with the perspective that I am serving that divine in and through every form, who gets benefited? The individual who goes with that mindset. Those who are not prepared for that level, I know what is the question lurking in your mind. But Swamiji, if I go with that kind of mindset, what if people misuse? What if people abuse? You ain't ready for that highest level yet. So what is the next level? That is said in the 7th shloka. Teshamaham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat partha चेतसाम्. This is actually not the next part, but it is the result of this path which was stated in the sixth shloka. Tesham aham samudharta. Those who reprioritize their life and interact with everything in this universe as if they are interacting and serving the Lord. So what happens to them? Tesham, to them. Aham samudharta. I will lift them from all limitations. Mrityu samsara sagara. Here mrityu means limitations. Anything that limits us. And that limitation itself is considered as death. And how many we are surrounded by these? Sagarat. Can you count how many waves in the ocean? That many we are surrounded with limitations. From all these limitations, you will be uplifted. So what is the first result of it? You stand fearless in this world. I am not talking of a Jackie Chan fearless kind of a thing, wherein you can beat 10-15 people. No, that is not called fearlessness. Fearless is when you are not overwhelmed in any kind of pressing situation. And you don't lose your calm, you don't lose your balance in handling and catering to that situation. You are not running away, you are not succumbing to it, but you know how well to handle it and deliver in the most righteous manner. Bhavami nachirat partha maya veshita chetasam. This is a promised result for those who reprioritize their life as interaction with the divine around. But it's the heights of bhakti. And one such practical devotee that comes into my mind that I can share that example with you all is a great bhakta from Gujarat. His name was Narsi Mehta. So his guru taught him this simple message that everything that you interact with in this world is nothing but the form of the Lord, form of Narayana. He was a Krishna devotee, form of Krishna. So one day he went for bhiksha. It is not like today's bhiksha, wherein I am driven down to the house and I am given food. In those days bhiksha was different, wherein the one who is seeking bhiksha has to go door to door, ask for food. The first time I was introduced to Chinmay Mission as a close proximity to Gurudev, I said, you should come, we are having bhiksha with Gurudev. So I had a different meaning for bhiksha. I thought maybe he is going to walk door to door and whatever gets, who knows what he will get. So I had a sumptuous meal and then went to the bhiksha only to realize that the entire table was filled with food. I didn't need no teaching then. I knew when there was bhiksha with Gurudev, we went prepared. Very empty stomach. And everything was prepared for. Back in those days when they say bhiksha atana, it doesn't mean that it was given such readily. They have to go door to door. So one such house that he had gone, they said, he asked for food. So the lady of the house got him the bajra roti. How do you translate bajra in English? Millet. The roti made of millet. Certain parts of India make it it's a speciality. Gujarat has it, North Karnataka has it, certain parts, very famous. So the millet roti was given, fresh made. It was not again today's kind of culture wherein it is used and eaten up, whatever is left over is given as bhiksha. Freshly made is given. You know, when India beggars, when you give food, it is usually the leftover which you almost were about to throw it anyway, hence therefore give it. It was not that way. It was a fresh made food. So a fresh roti was given and said, wait. And she went into the kitchen again, brought fresh butter. Not the butter that we get in the market nowadays, the yellow color. It is the fresh one, which has those granular. If you have ever eaten fresh butter, it has a different texture to it. So that fresh butter was given. Then apply it on every layer of roti. It'll be really tasty. So he had a little bag, not even a bag, a cloth. So he put the roti on it, and another little pouch that he created for that butter, so that he could tie it down and carry it. So as he was putting that effort to tie it all down, a dog snatched 2 of these rotis and ran. And this young Narsi Mehta, he must be 10, 11 years old, ran after the dog. So people said, 2 rotis and leave it. You can get more of them. He didn't listen to anyone. He ran after that dog. Finally caught up with that dog. Snatched those 2 rotis off the mouth of the dog. He had that little pouch, took the butter, applied it, and said, now eat. Because I was told that is the best way to eat this roti. And when his guru, people complained that this is what your Shishya has done. So he asked him, why did you do that? He said, very simple. If that is the best way that I can be relishing it, Narayana in that form has to relish the best. And that is why I gave him the best. The entire perspective changes. To such a one who has blended his mind, taken it to that height, that can see everyone in the form of Narayana, he is fearless because he has nothing to lose. He is fearless because he has nothing to be afraid of that somebody would be misusing him or her or being abusive to him or her. Swamiji, this is a very high standard. I know. So the next step. What is the next step? Mayye vamana adhatsva.
Mayye vamana adhatsva.
Mayi buddhim niveshaya.
Mayi buddhim niveshaya.
Nivasishyasi mayyeva.
Nivasishyasi mayyeva.
Atavurdhvam na samshayaha.
Atavurdhvam na samshayaha.
Okay, if that kind of highest priority cannot be churned, then okay, next thing. We have 3 equipments: body, mind and intellect. Through the body we perform actions, through the mind we bring out emotions, through the intellect we have ideas. So whatever actions are performed, whatever emotions are churned, whatever are the ideas that are brought out, if we can consciously grow step by step to focus every activity so that I can dedicate them to the highest altar. Whenever we do something dedicating it to an altar, that act of dedication is called bhakti. Even in our English language we say that a scientist, he devoted his entire life to the platform of physics. What did he do? All his energy, resources, entire life was spent on that single focal point of physics. Hence, therefore, we elevate that effort to devotion. Devoted his life towards that cause. The highest level of dedication that one can offer is the altar of divine, altar of God. So every action that is being performed, dedicated to the higher altar of Supreme. As a starter, because in order to understand the act of dedication, it takes a while. Because we keep using that word, but we don't fathom as to what could be the meaning of it. Say for example, on the radios, they say, I'm dedicating this song to my friend on his or her birthday. What exactly are you doing? Did you sing that song? Did you publish that song? Did you write the lyrics? Did you arrange the music? Did you bring that album out? No. Somebody else has already done it. What do you mean by dedicating that song in the name of your friend who's celebrating their birthday? You have a vague understanding of that dedication, right? Similarly, when I start dedicating my efforts, not somebody else's, my efforts, my resources, my equipment for a certain cause, which is bigger than, which is beyond little stupid ego of mine, when I can dedicate my effort higher than the self, the ego. Most of us do it. Presently, what is our act of dedication to? Our act of dedication of every single thing that we perform is dedicated towards family. Those who are married and have family, I'm talking about them specially. And we don't miss an opportunity to rub it in. Isn't it? Whenever you feel that the equation you're not getting enough response, then these are the common dialogues. Why do you think I'm putting so much of effort? Why do you think I'm slogging? So the generic answer is, for us, the entire family. We are dedicating it to the family. Little bigger than family, dedicating it to the community. Little larger than the community is dedicating it for the country. Dedicating it for culture, dedicating it for maintaining the traditions. Dedicating it to the altar of humanity. Dedicating it to the altar of ecology. The higher and subtler it becomes, the act of dedication, the act itself starts being recognized as bhakti. That is why those who dedicate their resources, life and effort towards a country, what is it called in most of our native language? Desha Bhakti. The same act, but when it is dedicated to the higher altar, it becomes bhakti. So offer your actions to that higher altar. As a starter, how do you begin dedicating it? Before you perform a certain action and after you conclude the action. So before you start an action, think of the Lord, ask Him of the strength to fulfill that responsibility. After the act has been completed, thank the Lord for giving you the opportunity and the strength to fulfill that responsibility. Genuinely, from the bottom of your heart, feel it and do it. However small the responsibility be or however big it be, start with that prayerful note, end with that prayerful note. See, many of us in the beginning used to ask, why do we start with Sahana Bhavatu and why do we end with Purnamadaha? Even the lecture series. We start with that prayerful note and end with that prayerful note. If you have seen traditionally, even when we start eating food, We offer it with that mantra, Brahmarpanam Brahmavihi. And the end, we say, thanks for those who have put the effort to give the food. So we say, Annadata, Sukhi Bhava. Start with that prayerful note and end with that prayerful note towards that divine. Whatever be the action, whatever be the emotion, whatever be the idea, focus and tune the mind. And one of the things that really helped me in my life to grow into that act consciously was to maintain a diary. I may have mentioned this earlier. A diary process wherein you involve two different colors of ink. One red pen and one blue pen. All the day's activity that you have performed, where you feel that you have done things out of balance, out of righteousness, write them in blue. And all those which you have done, which even if there is a slight opportunity of something which is not justified, something which is not right, you note it in red. If you are really conscious and really faithful to this effort, the first 1.5 to 2 years will be disgustingly painful. You know why? The entire diary is nothing but filled with red, patches of here and there blue. I am shamelessly accepting what I have gone through. But after 2 years of such effort, what it helped? It helped me recognize the patterns as to where I was going wrong. Earlier I was not even aware of those patterns, but now I was aware of those patterns. As soon as that environment was created, wherein that pattern could be triggered, I started becoming conscious before it could be triggered. Slowly and steadily, once I started studying myself, I could work on each one of those patterns so that I could grow out of them. Not brush them under the rug, but grow consciously step by step from each one of those patterns. Whether it be at a physical level, emotional level, or at an intellectual level. And nobody can understand us better than ourselves. Nobody else. Because we only expose ourselves to that individual as much as we want them to know, want them to know us. Isn't it true? Other than ourselves. When we are with ourselves, who knows us the best? I know myself the best. And who can help myself? I alone can help myself. And with that effort, when we can tune at the physical level, emotional, intellectual level, it takes a lot of rigorous effort. But we are put little effort and expect maximum result. So Swamiji, I've been doing it for the past 2-3 days. I don't see a change. It is very frustrating. I don't see it. Let me ask you a question. How many years does it take to become any professional, like a lawyer or an engineer or a doctor? So let's speak. Engineer. How many years does it take to become an engineer? Good. Well, most of us think that we can become engineers in 4 years. Well, we are talking of just that undergrad. What about kindergarten through 12th grade? 13 years? Then 4 years of undergrad? Then if you are lucky and sharp enough, 2 years of graduation? How many years total? 13 plus 4 plus 2. 19 to 20 years to become an engineer. a certificate with which you can go outside and start making a living. But those 20 years were dedicated towards the direction. Then you get the result of it. Now sometimes we come into spirituality, we test the waters. Few months, no result. My mind is not calm. If it is the mind calmness, I'll get you the best solution, cheapest solution. After you come back from your office, go to the gym for 1 hour. Come back from gym and eat until you belch. Oops. It's okay. It's okay. It's only water. It will dry. And when you eat full, then you hit the sack, you experience peace. With you experiencing peace, the others in the family also will experience peace. That is the cheapest, most inexpensive method to be peaceful. Sleep. But even to get that sleep, we need to be qualified. Not everybody is blessed enough to get sleep. How many of us are blessed enough that we hit the sack and snore away to glory? Very few. Most of us twist, turn, just struggle. Keep your... The simplest method, eat good food, sumptuous food, sleep. Tire your body before that. If the peace of mind is what you are expecting. But you need something more substantial, more than sleep. Then that kind of consistent effort is required. Swamiji, if somebody were like you, who had nothing else to do in this life other than only that. I am not saying anything exaggerated, I have been told these things on my face. I am just repeating them, reusing them. Yeah, somebody like you has got nothing else to do in life and they are dedicating their actions, emotions, it seems possible. But for us people like who are into their life of family and other things, it is almost impossible. Don't consider it as impossibility. Why? Bhagavan has the next step. If you think that these 2 steps cannot be a possibility, then is the 3rd step. What is the 3rd step? That is said in the next shloka. We will chant it today, see it tomorrow. Atha chittam samadhatum न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततः मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय. He says, if you cannot keep this focus, chittam na samadhatum, then it is the next step. See, Bhagavan has a lot of patience. He is giving step by step, getting to our level. If I were to be giving this is the only method, do or die. I would not have stretched it with so many clauses saying that, if not this, better you try this at least. You ask about, is Bhagavan's grace there? Is Bhagavan compassionate? How can we feel compassion of Bhagavan? What else is compassion? That he is giving the highest standard. Okay, you cannot stay there. Try the next one. Try the next one. It's the 3rd step now. What is the 3rd step? We'll see it tomorrow. It's one of the middle path again. There are 2 more paths that he is going to enumerate. So any one of these when performed, it would be considered as bhakti. So pick and choose which one is the most suitable at your level and start following that. And this is not in comparison with the rest of them around. My bhakti is better than your bhakti. There are people who challenge. Recently there was, in the flight there was another sadhu or a sannyasi from a different organization. He was trying, he came and met, he said namaste, I said okay namaste. And he said, what institution or what sampradaya you belong to? So he said, whatever. I said, how many devotees do you have? I said, zilch. I don't have any personal devotees. Whatever is for Gurudev and the mission. Then he said, I have these many devotees, these many people follow me on Facebook, these many people subscribe, these many people Twitter. He said, hence therefore my path is better than your path. I said, no, I don't contest. Please carry on with that impression. I didn't even argue. I said, okay, continue. This is the airport. He was trying to prove that his method was better than any other method. And the way to prove it was the number of people on Facebook, number of people on Twitter, number of followers. Is that the way? Don't get carried away. Those are not the norms. This should be the way of understanding bhakti. Otherwise it becomes only bhakti of various kinds of enjoyment. Even this path becomes that. So let us come back tomorrow to see the rest of the path. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om